The bathroom door slammed shut behind them, and in a flash, Madison lunged forward with a pair of silver scissors, her eyes gleaming with cruelty. "Now everyone will see you don't belong here," she hissed, slicing through Aaliyah's hair as her friends filmed and laughed. But what none of them saw was the fire quietly igniting behind Aaliyah's eyes, the kind of fire that doesn't burn out. It was supposed to be a fresh start. 16-year-old Aaliyah Brooks stood outside the front gates of Oak Ridge Prep, her heart thudding beneath the carefully pressed blazer of her new school uniform. She'd transferred mid-semester, never an easy feat, and she already knew she stood out. A black girl from a working-class military family walking into a sea of pearl earrings, trust funds, and quiet privilege. But she held her chin high. She'd moved before, her father's Marine career made sure of that. Blending in wasn't her strong suit, but endurance? That, she'd mastered. What Aaliyah didn't know, as she walked the pristine marble floors of Oak Ridge's ivy-wrapped halls, was that her arrival was already causing a stir. Not because of anything she said or did, but because someone like her had dared to enter a space someone else believed she didn't belong. That someone was Madison Hale. 17. Blonde, blue-eyed, and the daughter of a state senator. She was the reigning queen bee of Oak Ridge Prep, and she didn't share her kingdom. Her clique was a polished pack of wealthy girls, Sloan, Harper, and Elise, each a mirror of Madison's icy perfection. From the moment Aaliyah took her seat in homeroom, Madison's eyes locked on her. Not with curiosity. With calculation. It started with stares, quick, assessing glances paired with whispered commentary behind manicured hands. A smirk here. A shared laugh there. Then came the microaggressions. The accidental shoulder bumps in the hallway. The subtle snickers when Aaliyah answered a question too confidently in class. The time she found her gym shoes soaked and stuffed with shredded paper towels. She said nothing. Did nothing. Her father always taught her not every battle needs a strike. Sometimes the smartest thing a fighter can do is wait. So she waited. Until the day they pushed too far. It was Friday. Just past third period. Aaliyah was on her way to her locker when Elise, one of Madison's flunkies, casually bumped into her and spilled an entire strawberry smoothie down her blouse. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she said in a tone that sounded anything but. Madison, standing nearby, let out a laugh just loud enough to be heard. Looks like she finally got some color. The hallway erupted with low chuckles. Aaliyah clenched her fists, her nails digging crescents into her palms. But she stayed quiet. Not yet. Not here. It was after lunch when it happened. The final straw. The moment everything changed. Aaliyah had gone into the second-floor girls' bathroom, the one near the art wing. It was quieter there. Fewer stairs. But when she opened the door, she knew something was off. Too quiet. No flicker of footsteps. Just the hum of fluorescent lights and the faint echo of her own shoes. She stepped inside cautiously. That's when they grabbed her. Sloan and Harper emerged from the stalls, blocking the exit. Elise came up behind and shoved Aaliyah forward, sending her stumbling. Madison stood in the center of the tiled room, a pair of scissors gleaming in her hand. "You know," Madison said coolly, "I've been thinking. You've been trying really hard to blend in here. But it's just not working. You don't belong, Aaliyah. And now, everyone will see it." Aaliyah's breath caught as Madison closed the distance. Her hand moved fast, viciously. The cold snip of scissors bit through her curls. Aaliyah flinched as strands of her hair fell to the floor, one after another. The sound was deafening. Snip. 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 "Smile for the group chat," Elise giggled, holding up her phone. "This is content." Aaliyah's lower lip trembled. Her eyes darted toward the mirror, toward the mess of hacked curls and the hollow look in her reflection. Madison stepped back, grinning, holding a clump of Aaliyah's hair like a trophy. "You look scared," she sneered. "Maybe you should have just stayed where you came from." They left her there. Shaken. Alone. surrounded by pieces of her identity scattered across cold tile. But they didn't. See what happened next. The tremble faded. Her shoulders straightened. Her breathing slowed. She looked at herself again, not with despair, but with something colder. Something sharper. A fire smoldered beneath the surface. She turned her head slowly, inspecting the uneven edges of her hair, then reached for her phone with steady hands. 1 ring. 2. Then the familiar click of her father's voice. "Dad," she said, her voice low, steady, stripped of the meekness she'd worn all week. "I need to talk to you." "Baby, what's wrong?" "They cut my hair." "In the bathroom." Madison Hale and her friends. "They recorded it." "I kept my promise. I stayed quiet. But I can't anymore." There was silence on the line. Then, softly, "You sure about this, Lyle?" "Dead sure." She ended the call and looked back at the mirror one more time. "They think I'm weak," she murmured. "But they just gave me permission." That night, Aaliyah stood in the basement of their small home, now converted into a training space. The heavy bag swung slightly under the pull of air as she stepped into position. She wrapped her hands with precision, tightened the gloves, then exhaled slowly. The silence broke as her fists made contact. Left. Right. Uppercut. Elbow. Kick. Each strike was clean. Controlled. Devastating. Her father, watching from the corner, said nothing. Just nodded with quiet pride. His daughter wasn't broken. She was becoming. "No more pretending," she whispered as she drove her knee into the bag. "No more hiding." And just like that, the girl they thought they'd humiliated had disappeared. In her place stood a fighter. And the war was just beginning. The Monday after the bathroom assault, Oak Ridge Prep buzzed with the usual idle chatter, but for Aaliyah Brooks, nothing felt the same. Her curls were now trimmed short, reshaped into a bold, tapered cut thanks to a kind stylist her father knew from his Marine days. It framed her face with precision, but the edges still whispered of the trauma that led to it. As she walked down the hallway, heads turned. Some students whispered. A few dared to smirk. Madison and her clique, bold as ever, strutted past like nothing had happened, laughing over some inside joke. But Aaliyah didn't flinch. She didn't drop her eyes or alter her stride. She was done pretending. What the other students couldn't see was that Aaliyah had already begun planning something far beyond retaliation. This wasn't going to be some violent confrontation. No fists, no blood. What she had in mind was smarter, cleaner, and it would leave a mark that lasted a lot longer than a bruise. She just needed help. That help came in the form of Miles Foster. He was a quiet sophomore, always buried in his science textbooks, always alone at lunch, always underestimated. Aaliyah had noticed him weeks ago. The way he got pushed in the cafeteria line. The way he never looked people in the eye. But she'd also seen his lab presentations in chemistry, watched the way he handled complex compounds like they were extensions of himself. She found him in the back of the library that afternoon, hunched over a spiral-bound notebook filled with chemical structures and notes scribbled in tiny lettering. "Miles," she said quietly. He jumped slightly, startled. "Hey." Hi. "I need your help," she said. He looked around, nervous. "With what?" "A project," she said, sliding into the seat across from him. "Let's call it chemical karma." That got his attention. She explained everything, not the MMA, not her training, but the bullying, the haircut, the way they laughed and walked away like nothing had happened. She didn't need pity. She needed partnership. And when she told him her idea about creating a compound that would react with high-end skincare to stain the skin a deep, lasting lavender, his eyes lit up. "It's doable," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Totally safe. It'll stain the outer dermis but won't penetrate. I've done something similar with pH detection compounds." If we manipulate the base and react it to common cosmetic stabilizers, in English, miles. Yeah. I can make it work. Over the next week, they met in secret. In the science lab after hours. In the back corner of the library. In Miles's garage, where his parents thought he was building a volcano model. They tested batch after batch. The compound was colorless at first, but once it came into contact with certain ingredients, squalane, retinol, peptide boosters, it began to shift. A pale shimmer, then a soft pink, then a rich, unmistakable violet. With chlorine or direct sunlight, it accelerated tenfold. And the best part? It wouldn't show immediately. No, it would develop gradually over 3 to 4 hours, enough time to seem like a coincidence. A skin reaction. A sunburn. A cosmetic fail. That's when Aaliyah began phase 2, the setup. She'd spent enough time pretending to be invisible to know how to plant a seed in Madison's world without being noticed. She started with a beauty magazine, casually left behind in the girls' locker room, open to a feature on a French luxury glow serum used by A-listers and influencers. The page was fake, painstakingly printed and glued by Aaliyah and Miles, complete with photoshopped product shots and made-up testimonials. Then she leaked the serum to Elise, one of Madison's sidekicks, during a chance encounter in the restroom. "It's only sold at a pop-up in Eastgate," Aaliyah whispered, just loud enough for Elise to hear. "Celebs use it before red carpet events. Supposed to make your skin camera ready in water and sunlight." It spread faster than Aaliyah expected. By Thursday, Madison had posted a selfie with the bottle on her Instagram story, tagged #GlowGameStrong and #PoolPartyPrep. And on Saturday, the pool party began. Aaliyah didn't need an invitation. Social media gave her a front row seat. Madison's backyard looked like a resort. Lounge chairs lined with gold towels. A hired DJ spinning tracks. Everyone in designer swimsuits, snapping pictures and tagging the location. But Aaliyah wasn't watching for the outfits. She was watching the timeline. By 3 p.m., Madison posted a boomerang of herself and her girls applying the serum in her marble bathroom. By 4:30, something began to shift. A video hit TikTok showing Elise shrieking as she stared at her arms, now visibly lavender under the sun. Madison's next story cut out halfway through a frantic scream. The reactions were glorious. "Are we turning purple? What is this? Is this a filter or real?" By 5 p.m., #LavenderQueens was trending. Videos of the panic, Madison jumping into the pool and emerging fully violet, Harper trying to scrub her face with a towel, Elise crying in a lawn chair, were going viral. People didn't know why it was happening, but they couldn't look away. Aaliyah and Miles watched from a quiet cafe, sipping lemonade, their phones buzzing with notifications. "They look like Willy Wonka extras," Miles murmured. Aaliyah smirked. "They look like justice." On Monday, Oak Ridge Prep was different. The usual swagger Madison carried was gone. She walked into school with oversized sunglasses, a scarf pulled over her head, and a hoodie that couldn't hide the patchy lavender hue still clinging to her neck and hands. The school's social order had shifted. People weren't whispering about Aaliyah anymore, they were whispering about Madison, Elise, Harper, and Sloan. The air had changed. And Aaliyah wasn't walking the halls with her head down. She walked tall. Confident. Free. That afternoon, she approached the bulletin board near the cafeteria. A new flyer was pinned dead center. It read, "Self-Defense for Beginners, Saturdays at West Park, open to all. Led by A. Brooks. Come learn to fight back." No names, no faces, just the promise of empowerment. Aaliyah stepped back and smiled. She wasn't done. Not by a long shot. They had turned her into a symbol of mockery. She had turned that into a movement. One lavender streak at a time. By Tuesday morning, the walls of Oak Ridge Prep were buzzing, not with the arrogance of the elite, but with the uneasy quiet of a kingdom that had lost its queen. The lavender incident, as students were now calling it, had flipped the school's social structure on its head. Madison Hale, once the untouchable icon of power, had been dethroned in spectacular technicolor. Her Instagram account went private. Her clique fragmented. And Aaliyah Brooks? She no longer walked through the halls with her head down. She walked like someone who had nothing to hide and nothing to prove. But Aaliyah wasn't basking in victory. She was building something bigger. The viral videos had done more than expose the bullies, they'd inspired a ripple effect. Students who had once suffered in silence began speaking up. A freshman named Jasmine emailed her about being shoved in the hallways. A boy from drama club thanked her quietly for reminding people we exist. So Aaliyah leaned in. The Saturday self-defense sessions that had started with a single flyer now drew dozens of students each week. The first session was clumsy, students stumbling over stances and giggling through warm-ups, but as the weeks went on, they began to change. Postures straightened. Voices grew louder. Students learned how to say no, how to hold their ground, how to believe they deserved to take up space. Parents started showing up too. Teachers began asking how they could help. And when the principal saw the groundswell of support, he offered to make the program official. Oak Ridge Prep now had an after-school club called Stand Strong. Aaliyah was its founding student leader. She still remembered the look on Principal Chambers' face when he signed off on it. "You're not just changing a few students, Aaliyah," he'd said. "You're shifting a culture." But not everyone was thrilled. Rumors swirled that Madison was planning a lawsuit. Her father, a state senator, had reportedly called the school board, threatening legal action over defamation and emotional damage. A few students even said Madison had been in meetings with attorneys. Aaliyah wasn't scared. She had proof. Witness statements. Screenshots. Videos from multiple angles showing Madison and her clique in the act, bullying, laughing, smearing the compound on their skin. None of it had been coerced. None of it doctored. It was all real. And when her name came up during a formal disciplinary hearing, Aaliyah sat calmly in front of the panel and presented her evidence with the precision of a lawyer. She didn't yell. Didn't cry. Just told the truth. Madison, visibly shaken and still slightly lavender under layers of foundation, had no defense. The school board ruled in Aaliyah's favor. Madison Hale was officially suspended for targeted harassment, endangerment, and conduct unbecoming of a student leader. By the end of the month, she had voluntarily transferred to a private prep academy 2 states away. Her reign was over. But Aaliyah's work wasn't. One Friday afternoon, as the self-defense group wrapped up a sweaty, joyful session in the park, a girl lingered behind. Chloe Langston. Madison's former sidekick. The one who used to carry her extra lip gloss and laugh at her worst jokes. Aaliyah noticed her hovering by the bleachers, arms crossed, head slightly down. "You here for someone?" Aaliyah asked, tossing her towel into her gym bag. Chloe hesitated. Then stepped forward. "No. I came for me." Her voice cracked slightly. "I was part of it. I know that. I followed Madison. I laughed at the wrong things. I didn't stop her. But I want to change." Aaliyah steadied her. Chloe didn't look like the smug girl from 2 months ago. Her makeup was minimal. Her expensive bag replaced with a canvas tote. She looked real. "I'm not here to fight," Chloe added. "I just want to learn. To not be that girl anymore." There was a long pause. Then Aaliyah handed her a set of gloves. "You can start by learning how to hold your ground," she said. Chloe nodded, slipping them on. That was the thing about change, it didn't always roar. Sometimes it whispered. Sometimes it apologized. Sometimes it showed up quietly at the edge of a field and asked for a second chance. Weeks passed. Spring arrived. Oak Ridge Prep held its annual community assembly, and for the first time ever, the theme wasn't academic achievement or college prep. It was empowerment and accountability. The student body voted unanimously to award Aaliyah with a special recognition for courageous leadership. She didn't expect the standing ovation, but she received it with grace. And when the assembly ended, a girl no older than 14 walked up to her, cheeks flushed and hands trembling. She handed Aaliyah a small envelope and quickly disappeared into the crowd. Inside was a handwritten note: "Thank you for showing me I don't have to be silent to be safe." Aaliyah stood there, the note pressed to her heart, her throat tight. She had no idea who the girl was, but she knew what it meant. That night, her father grilled burgers in the backyard as the sun dipped low behind the trees. They ate in comfortable silence, the soft sizzle of the grill filling the gaps. Then, as she reached for a second soda, he spoke. "Coach Daniels called." Aaliyah raised an eyebrow. "MMA Daniels?" He nodded. "Said the summer circuit's opening up again. He wants you back. Thinks you've still got it. Tournament in June." Aaliyah laughed, almost choking on her drink. "It's been a year, Dad. I've been busy kicking ass in other ways." He smiled, tossing a napkin at her. "You thinking about it?" She leaned back in her chair, staring up at the stars. "Maybe," she said. "But only if I can keep coaching too. These kids need it. And honestly, I need it too." He nodded, proud. "Whatever you choose, I got your back." As she sat there under the night sky, Aaliyah realized something. What started as revenge had turned into a revolution. Not of fists, but of voices. Not of fear, but of strength. The girl they tried to break had built something better in the rubble. A space where power came from lifting others. A space where no one had to be invisible. And that was just the beginning. Thank you for taking the time to listen to Aaliyah's story. If you've made it this far, I hope something in her journey resonated with you, because this story, while fictional, reflects very real experiences that many people go through every single day. At its core, Aaliyah's story isn't just about revenge or exposing bullies. It's about reclaiming power without losing yourself. It's about understanding that silence isn't always the answer, and that when the systems around us fail to protect us, we have the right to speak up, to stand up, and to protect ourselves and others in ways that bring about real change. Aaliyah didn't respond to violence with violence. She responded with intelligence, with strategy, and with strength. She used her pain as fuel to build something that could empower not just herself, but the community around her. And that's the biggest lesson here. Your strength isn't just in how hard you hit back, it's in how far you're willing to go to stand for something bigger than yourself. To anyone who has ever felt like they didn't belong in a room, a classroom, a neighborhood, or a conversation, you do. You deserve respect. You deserve safety. And most importantly, you deserve to be heard. And to those who might recognize a piece of themselves in characters like Madison or Chloe, know this: it's never too late to change. Owning your mistakes, listening instead of speaking, and choosing to be better, that's how healing starts. We all have a choice: to be part of the problem, to stay silent, or to become part of the solution. From all of us here at Us, Justice Stories, thank you for watching. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of someone you know, or if it lit a spark inside you, please share it. Comment below. Tell us where you're watching from. And most importantly, stay connected. Because when we share stories like these, we're not just entertaining, we're building bridges, we're shining light into dark places, and we're helping others find their voice too. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and never forget, justice isn't just a word, it's something we fight for together. Thank you.